Hello, welcome to oziTarget. In this video I'm going to talk through some of the features of live tracking and explain how it works and how you quickly set it up. This is available from version 1.5.1.5 onwards, just released now in August 2021. So let's get started. So we jump into the settings first of all. So after we've installed our new registration code with our tracking subscription details, if we come in here we can have a look at these settings. We've got our tracking ID, which is unique to every person who registers for tracking. We've got a security key here, or a PIN code that is set by you to encrypt your data when it's uploaded to the server. So when you want to share your data with someone else, you give them your tracking ID and you share with them your security key. And then that enables them to decode your data at the other end and see what's going on. Now at any time, if you don't want to share your data with anyone anymore, you simply change your security key. On your computer you want to set yourself as a pilot or crew. I'm going to talk about crew in a separate video, but with the license now you can use it on two computers, or set one of those computers to crew. It will then transmit the position data only every 10 seconds, and that just enables you to see where your crew are up to. Your crew, however, can receive the full data, so they will be able to see everything that the balloon is doing. Obviously we can turn off our upload of data. This is defaults to on, purely because people will forget to turn it on, and obviously once you turn it off it stays off. As a pilot, the update rate defaults to 1 second. Depending on how you're going with data usage or network lag, you may want to slow that down. And then it tells you subscription expiry date, how many days remaining. So let's jump into the actual tracking tool. So this is the tracking tool. Starting at the top of the form here, we have a very similar layout to the main oziTarget window, with all the normal fields you'd expect to see: altitude, heading, speed, the waypoint that the person's navigating to, the bearing, distance to go, and ETE. Important to note, all of the units here are based on your settings, so it doesn't matter what the other pilot's using, it will be converted at your end into the units you're expecting to see. At the very top here we've got the list of pilots that we have access to, or that we've set up for, and we can switch between those simply by clicking on their names. To reduce some size and save some space on the map, if we click on the main name here, that list will disappear. If we want to bring it back to change pilots again, click on it, change pilot, click on it again, and it disappears. Down the bottom here again, if the waypoint information is of no interest to you, you can hide that waypoint information and reduce the amount of space on your screen. The flight winds from the other person are transmitted to you, and that will turn up in a table here so that you can have a look at those. That will be individual for each pilot. So if I change to pilot 3, I've got his list of flight winds as well, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, so at the moment we're tracking balloon 3, but we're not displaying anything on the screen. If I click on that and cycle it, so we end up with a dot here and the balloon name, or the pilot name. The line here is his extended track line or projected track line. We can turn that off if we don't want to have that on the map, and it will go away. Likewise, if we're not interested in his track tail, click on here and it goes away. So it's really up to you how much information you display. Other cool tools we got down here, I'll get the waypoint information open again. When this pilot is tracking to a waypoint, his point name in his system is 190. I can draw that on my map. So the tool down here, click on that and his waypoint turns up. Button here will center the map on that person's waypoint. So if the waypoint they're navigating to is off the screen somewhere and you don't know where it is, then that will bring it up and the X will clear that off the screen. At any time, if I want to jump to the other balloon, select balloon 2, and balloon 2 turns up on the screen. He's got a great big pink dot. Likewise, I can turn that off, turn that to the name, tells me that it's balloon 2. If I want to see his waypoint, his code comes up on there, and he's obviously navigating to 378, although in his system he's called it number 1. Clear that. Now if I don't know where this pilot is on the map, I can center the map on him as well, and in the crew video we'll go through the crew, but we can also center on the crew. Okay, very quickly we go into settings. This is where we set up all the details for the people that we're tracking. As soon as you enter the settings mode, it pauses the recording of data. And that's basically so that if we make any changes in here, we don't end up sending bad data to the server while you're in the middle of editing things. So on the left here, we've got the ID that we're given by the other pilot. We've got their security key so that we can decode their data, and we give them a nickname. So over here, we've got a crew button. Again, save that for the crew video. Get means that we're retrieving his data. Draw means that we have the ability to draw that on the map. The width is the width of the track as it's shown on the map. List will put that pilot's name into our list over here on the left. Track color, then the background color for their dot and their name, and then the foreground color, the color of their the writing, and then the size. So I can make that a more reasonable size from that giant pink dot that we have hiding down here somewhere. When you're done making changes, hit done. Other options obviously is that we can add a row in, so AB1 for example, and that his passcode is 2345, and we'll just leave him as new name, and likewise we can go through and set all the details there. We can clear all of the rows. We can also import and export this list so we can save the list of pilots. So say done. So this list option here will put their name in the list so that when we open the list up, we can see now we've got Jeff, Balloon 3, new name. If I take new name off the list and say done, he no longer appears up here. So I can be receiving his data, but I just don't want him to have as a pilot that's selected up here. And again, that comes down to this crew option later on. Final settings that we'll touch on in this video, we've got our retrieve and drawing timing. So the get seconds is the time or how often the tracking tool here will request the data for all these pilots. The draw seconds we've set to about 5 seconds, so that's the update rate for how often we're drawing information on the map. The numbers here are updated every time this data is received. Projected track line length, we can push that out to whatever we decide is appropriate. Likewise, we can beef it up. It was pretty thin when we were looking at it before. And so now if I close settings, that will automatically restart tracking, and we have a green extended track line. But if I wanted to change Jeff's track, edit, width, 4, done, close. Final thing I'll just say is that with the tracking, if you don't want any of this information on your screen, you want to use the hide form button down here. If you close the window, it will stop tracking. It'll stop receiving the other pilot's data, and this is a live tool. At the moment, if it's not tracking, it's not receiving data, and there is no method to go back and retrieve past data. Okay, so this is purely about what's happening in the moment. If you want to keep tracking but you want to get this form off your screen, hide form is your friend. That gets rid of it off your screen. It continues tracking, it continues updating, it continues doing whatever you'd asked it to do. But to bring it back, tools, tracking, and then you're back on the screen exactly where you were before. It's a very powerful tool once you get used to using it. Very powerful for your ground crew and team managers. A lot of cool things that you can do with it. Thanks for watching.